The second set will be played on Akilon Wastes. Spawning in the top left-hand position as the red Protoss player from WOONGJIN Stars. His name is Aria.
His opponent spawns in the bottom right position, playing for KT Roaster, a Zerg player. Green Zerg this time around. His name is Crazy.
Yep. So Crazy, probably the one that's a little bit more favorite here. And we could see some interesting builds though from either players. We've seen Crazy go for Nidus play in the past against various races, so I wouldn't put it past him to do that. And interesting position for the pylon there.
Seems like Aria wants to play a little bit greedy, not going for his scout after the pylon. Crazy, he's one of these guys who's been doing okay in Pro League. If you look at the overall record throughout the whole season, he is only 12-10. So he is still a great player with a 54.5% win rate, but it's not certainly as dominating as we saw him once when he went for multiple kills in one of the tournaments. In fact, I do recall Crazy going for an all-kill in one of the tournaments. Not too sure if it was Winners League or STX Masters League, but that was all back in Brood War.
Got picked up by KT Roaster, I believe, after that. Alright, well, we do see Crazy going for an early hatch potentially here. Yeah, looks like he wants to go for the hatch first opening now. Aria going for the forge. Oh, he could be going for the build where you build the cannon on the low ground at the third. I think he may be checking for that natural there to see if it's being made early here.
But he does see the probe scouting early in the game, so now he knows that his opponent can possibly go for the cannon rush. So all he needs to do is make sure the drone is always hugging this probe.
And we already see Crazy bringing out a few extra drones in this position. First pylon goes down, but the additional drones are spotted here. It could just be a fake. I would love to see Aria kind of go to the low ground at that third and try to build on the low ground, cannon up to the high ground in this position, but it looks like, is he going to let that pylon finish?
Smart positioning of the drones, making sure that his opponent cannot make additional units, and in fact, Aria is forced to cancel the pylon, knowing that his cannon rush is not going to work.
It's a little bit unfortunate for Aria that he couldn't pull that off there, but you know, I wish he kind of would have really studied Heroes games where he's played on this map and gone for the cannon rush on the low ground near that third base north of the natural, and then build a cannon on the high ground after the one on the low ground gets close to completion. It's like almost guaranteed that you're going to be able to force a cancel on the hatchery at that point. But I guess Aria maybe he wants to just play more of a standard game. It's where he's more comfortable.
Yeah, in fact, even the observer pointing out the positioning that's really tricky for the Zerg players to defend against. But the probe was already scouted by the first Overlord, so Crazy always had the drone next to him. So even if the pylons went down in the lower ground, Crazy would have known about the cannons over there. In fact, just double checking to make sure there's no cannons in that position.
Nope. Smart for him to do that, just, you know, double confirming everything there. So it looks like we're going to be moving into more of a standard game, at least for now then. Based on the opening builds from each player. Very, very, you know, standard normal openings from each guy. Protoss going for a little bit of a more safe build. The Zerg going for more of a greedy one, but very smart drone positioning from Crazy. I've actually never seen a Zerg player have his drones in position perfectly for when the pylon would complete.
Yeah, in fact, those drones were there because Protoss players, they can wall off that little area behind the mineral lines completely with around 3 pylons. Crazy did not want that to happen because once the probe is stuck inside those 3 pylons, he could put the cannon up and there's no way that the Zerg player can take out the cannon.
Yep. Alright, third base on the way for Crazy here. Just continuing to go down that standard path that Zergs like to play against Protoss. They go for the 3 hatcheries. They really work on their economy. They start getting their gas, you know, towards 40 supply, maybe a little bit more than that. And behind this, we do have a Stargate from Aria. Also a very standard opening here. You know, PvZ nowadays, it's pretty standardized when it comes to the early game stages. It's really in the mid and late game where you get to see different compositions and the styles of the Zerg players really shine.
Yeah, some Protoss players try to go for the standard play. Some Protoss players trying to squeeze out an early third Nexus. That's one thing that Crazy has to look out for against his opponent. You see some Zerg players seeing their early third from their opponent and deny constantly with tons of Zerglings. In fact, he's making up to 10 Zerglings right now, trying to apply pressure against his opponent.
Realizing he's got to deal with this Stalker and Zealot pressure here, but they're going to go ahead and move back. And yeah, now Crazy has been forced to make Zerglings here, but he could get this around with the Queen. Queen's additional DPS, he can make it worth. The Zealot is going to almost guarantee get surrounded here. The Stalker going to do its best to try to pick off Zergling here too, but that nice, at least gets 3 for the Zealot there, but overall a pretty nice net gain there for Crazy. And he is getting a pretty fast layer here actually, not getting anything else beyond that in the speed now, and you have the Stargate churning out a few Phoenixes here, or even revealing it, showing that Aria is not afraid that Crazy knows about his Phoenixes here.
And that's the reason why he can delay the Roaches a little bit right now, knowing that his opponent is not going to squeeze out any Robo units to go for a timing push against his opponent. He also has the Overlord in position to make sure that his opponent is not taking out early third at this point in the game.
Yeah, so pretty smart by him to do that. Crazy, spreading his lings across the map now, just, grabbing the watchtowers, looking at that other potential third base location, generally the 4th for Protosses on this map. It's got a unit chilling there. The Overlord can spot the 3rd. Phoenix are going to do a little bit of scouting now, sees the layer, sees the Evo chamber, instantly 4 Spore Crawlers in production as well here. But continuing drone production behind this. Now we're starting to see the tech choices for our KT Rolster Zerg player here. We have the Hydra Den on the way, and his Zergling speed is about to finish here. It looks like he does want to go into that Zergling Hydra composition and potentially follow it up later with either Corruptors or Beefless.
Yeah, but Crazy also needs to be careful because the first unit being built from the Robo is going to be the Warp Prism. Aria wants to harass his opponent, put the units out of position while he safely takes the 3rd base.
It seems like Protoss players more and more often now are opting to get that earlier Warp Prism to do a little bit of harassment here. And, it was recently buffed with the Warp Prism speed being faster without the upgrade. The Zerglings do manage to scout that. We'll have to see if Crazy actually knows about it. And this probe wants to grab an expansion, but Crazy having none of that. He's already sending some lings over there. I think he may have picked off that probe as well because there's no base being built at that 3rd location.
These 5 Phoenixes just scouting inside the main base, and a Stalker gets picked off in the middle of the map as the Warp Prism arrives inside the main base. Crazy knows about the existence of the Warp Prism, but he needs to make sure his units are in right position.
Oh, wow. It looks like Aria actually going for a multi-pronged attack here. That's really cool. He's moving into the 3rd now, and as well, at the same time, moving at the main, and this is one of the fastest multi-pronged attacks I've actually seen here in this matchup. Possible to see this later on in the game from Protoss players, but he's really just abusing that now. And, forcing the Zerg to split up his army. He's only got 3 Hydras versus those Zealots in the main base, and now the Phoenixes can kind of slowly pick off some of the Hydras as well if they get kind of scattered here. And the 3rd base from Aria looks like it may go down.
Yeah, even the Phoenix is doing a nice job lifting up those Hydras, and it buys enough time for Aria to take out the 3rd base at the 3 o'clock position.
Indeed, the 3rd goes down. One important thing to note, though, no 3rd base from Aria yet.
Yeah, so, well, at least it delayed the 3rd base from his opponent, so he can take it a little bit later, and it's only 11 minutes into the game, while Aria is just looking to get the Colossus out and the Void Rays at the same time, so he could throw down the Nexus at the same Nexus right now, and it's still not going to be too late for our Protoss player.
One of my favorite things about this build is it's very mineral intensive, but it's not gas intensive, and that's the thing that Protoss players really need there. So, really, if he was able to kill the 3rd with pretty much just Zealots and like a Warp Prism, like distracting the main base and a couple of Phoenixes that were going to be built anyway, that's a really smart investment for Aria.
Definitely, as all Aria needs to do right now is use some force fields to defend against Crazy's aggression at this point in the game, as he has enough DPS to kill the Hydras and the Zerglings.
Nice drop of force fields. They're going to trap a good amount of the Zerglings in. We do see Aria Crazy going for a 4th base behind this. He needs the catch-up in economy. He's even droning up pretty heavily right now, making up the 12, getting the Infestation Pit, the Spire about to complete as well. Roach Warren also in production here, so it looks like Crazy wants to really just get a myriad of different tech options available to him.
And this is actually fantastic after spotting his opponent Aria going for a 3rd base. All Crazy needs to do is make sure he doesn't die to those Zealot run-bys once again. He needs to make sure those 4 bases go up without any trouble. He spots the Zealot at the 4th base, and he's going to send the Zerglings and Hydras in that direction.
The Zealot should be able to get picked off before that Hatchery gets killed. And yeah, this Zergling's going to be able to defend against that quite easily. Crazy really just, splitting in multiple ways here for upgrades. He's getting +1 air attack, +2 ground, and he's also going for warp speed. Behind all of this is Hive is already halfway done.
Yeah, and Crazy is only playing a little bit greedy right now because he knows his opponent is trying to get a 3rd base while getting those expensive units out. Look at this. Aria is adding 2 additional gateways and +1 air upgrade for his main army.
Yeah, those 2 Stargates are going to change the pace of the game here. It looks like he really wants to go into that Sky Toss composition here. He is starting to build a few more Phoenix here. Maybe he's expecting some Muta play here. We don't see any investment yet. I mean, look at the gas count though right now, and the mineral count from Crazy. He's clearly got a lot saved up here, and Aria wants to be completely prepared. And if there's no Mutas that come out, he can just go for the Void Race. But no, 4 Vipers in production for Crazy.
Seems like he wants to take out those Colossus and Void Race before they get to the critical amount, but this also means that Crazy needs to have perfect micro against those units. And also, if the Vipers are kept alive, you can set up a Spine and a Spine Scroll Crawler wall in the middle of the map using the Swarmhost, and it's going to be so annoying for the Protoss player to play the late game, as he's going to Starbomb around 4 bases while the Zerg player is taking all the bases around the map.
He's so Crazy. He wants to move towards that late game composition, but I really like that he's getting the Vipers in the mix as well, because that makes it a lot harder for the Protoss players to really engage the Zerg on their side of the map. It's kind of like the Zerg's form of using an air unit for a lot of zoning, similar to the way the Tempest helps out Protoss players.
Yeah, he doesn't scout the 2 additional Stargates at the natural, but he knows that his opponent is going for that type of play. And with the Overlord scouting the Warp Prison, I don't see these 3 Zealots doing a lot of damage inside the main base.
Yeah, they probably won't do too much here. Maybe they can deny that additional expansion from Crazy though, because Crazy, since he took the top right base and has secured that, now he can start spreading the creep over in that direction. This other base easily picked off or taken as well. And the Vipers
is he actually going to abduct two times?
I guess he can abduct 2 times. 1
and the second one seals the deal as the Warp Prison gets taken out.
Nice use of the Viper Congo train by Crazy there. We should see a 4th base go up momentarily from Aria. He's starting to really build up his army composition now. He's getting this Sonic Storm upgrade, adding on a few additional gateways, continuing to get a few Colossus and Void Rays out as well to deal with the Hydra Viper army. Now keep in mind that Aria, he knows about the Vipers now at this point, and that's going to help him out a lot here too.
Definitely, as he knows that he cannot stay too close to the Ridge, or the Colossus and the Void Rays are going to get picked apart one by one. He needs to make sure he fortifies the 4th base while also picking the right place to fight.
It's 7 Corruptors in production. There's already a good amount on the battlefield here. So right here comes the Protoss player. He's going to commit to the attack here. It looks like he's got the superior army at this point. No storms, but he can use the feedback on those Vipers to make them quite useless.
That's why it's Crazy is pulling back in that position. He knows that he cannot fight his opponent's army head-on in this position. Rather, he just needs to gather more army, set up a wall in the middle of the map, and wait for all of his upgrades to finish behind this.
Well, there are a Zerg player here. Okay, he's starting to do his Spine and Spore Crawler wall here. He's already making up to 5 Spine Crawlers, up to 10, wow, 11 in production now, and instantly remaking a lot of drones as well. Continuing with the upgrades here, just getting pretty much everything that he can at this point. The Zergling upgrades, the Infestor upgrades, continuing his ground and air upgrades as well, even getting a 2nd Spire.
Oh, these Zealots are spotted at the last second. Those Zealots, Aria's just trying to throw away so that he can free up the supply to get more Void Rays and Colossus into the composition. But this can actually take out the hatchery if Aria micros this properly.
Yeah, actually, I think it looks like he's going to get that. Very, very cool by Crazy. He's building a lot of static defenses in his main base. And that's where the Protoss player may end up trying to attack. No, looks like the Zealots didn't properly focus fire on the hatchery there. Was busy trying to attack other units. Not the best decision making from Aria there. I think he could have actually killed off that hatchery if he wanted to.
We have 2 additional Spires from Crazy.
Huh. Either it's a mistake or he just really doesn't want to lose his Spire attack.
Yeah, I guess so, as he's just banking on 3 Spires right now. 2 regular Spires and 1 greater Spire. But it looks like Aria, he wants to gear up for the attack. Nice feedback on the Vipers.
He also has a Storm as well, going to kind of lighten up those Hydras there, and the Colossus and Void Rays are going to easily be able to move through them and eat him up. The Spine Wall, not really completed. It's getting killed off very fast here, and all of a sudden, we could see Aria really just go in here for a powerful attack into the natural or the 3rd, even making his way up to the main. The Infestors are out. Nice Fungals hitting the main bulk of this army here. A lot of damage is being done there. The Sentries are going to fall. More good feedback, so they're going down on a lot of these units here. Additional reinforcements coming from the Zerg's natural base. Does he have enough to take out the Protoss army, though?
He does have a lot of Corruptors right now, and tons of Corruptors goes down. Remember, those are Fungal. Void Rays over there, as the Void Rays all fall, and the Colossus are gonna fall to the Corruptors.
Yeah, the Zealots coming in, though, as well, along with the few remaining Colossi here that have been picked off. Well, things are starting to turn around here. That's a lot of use of supply. Wrapped up in the Corruptors now. Looks like we did see Crazy potentially overcommit just a little bit too much to the anti-air army there, and anti-Colossus army is now, he's going to lose his third base and potentially some tech on his natural.
Yeah, he is going to lose a Roach Worm. Where are the Brewlers morphing in? We do see 4 out on the way. If he just buys enough time to get those out, he can defend against the attack, no problem.
And let's not forget how many Corruptors are on the battlefield here. The Corruptors are going to cover for those Broodlords and make it very hard for the Protoss player to properly engage the Zerg army without a maxed out army fit for dealing with these Broodlords and Corruptors.
Yeah, in fact, the Broodlords did finish, and D-Stalk is going inside the main base just to double confirm that those Broodlords are out on the field. But the Cell is doing a nice job at the third base, takes it out once again.
Look at that, though. Crazy Hydra has got an expansion around the 1 o'clock position right now. And these Archons are pretty much the only thing left in the main base. I believe a Broodlord's been picked up, but no, the Stalkers are moving in here. They're going to be able to finish off that last Broodlord there. Just Aria continuing to reinforce with waves and waves of reinforcements. GG is called. Crazy could not keep up with the relentless attacks from Aria.
Yeah, Aria find the perfect timing window before the Broodlords came out, before the spine wall was finished at that middle location as Aria went for a strong attack. Yes, he did lose a lot of Void Rays and Colossus, but at the end of the battle, all Crazy had left over was Corruptors.
And the Corruptors, of course, they can't attack ground units. So Aria deciding, hey man, I'm just going to reinforce with a lot of ground units and end the game for that. So now it looks like Aria's been able to break his losing streak and tie up the score 1-1 between WOONGJIN Stars and KT Rolster. The next match is going to be Bravo versus Young Sick, a TVP on New Fighting Spirit